This is a big headline out of Alabama today. So, the state has passed legislation that is overruling the NAR settlement rules that said buyers must have a buyer agency agreement in place with the buyer's agent before touring homes. In short, buyers, you can now look at homes with an agent without having an agreement. And on one hand, this is a really good thing. You've heard my videos where I talk about how fraught with issues these buyer agency agreements are because unscrupulous agents don't do a very good job of explaining them. They lock home buyers into 6 to 12-month contracts with no termination clause and with really high fees because home buyers didn't know what they could negotiate. So that's been a mess, and I understand why Alabama is wanting to get away from it. But the issue that this creates is that the main reason buyer agency forms were created was so that buyers and their agent would have an upfront conversation about compensation and get that set in stone before looking at any homes or finding out what sellers were potentially offering for compensation. By removing the requirement to have a buyer agency agreement, that now goes away, which means that an agent can tour buyers through a home, and then once the buyer finds a house that they like, the agent can ask, well, what is the seller offering for compensation? And guess what? If that seller is offering 3%, the buyer now has no leverage to negotiate a lower rate with the buyer's agent. So this turns the seller's offer of compensation into functionally a bribe. Because now one of the ways sellers can compete to make their house more attractive is by offering higher buyer agent commissions, which the buyer has really no say in, and now no leverage to negotiate lower. So yes, Alabama is solving one problem where they are eliminating the possibility of buyers being duped into signing these long-term agreements, but they're still creating another problem, which I would argue is the fundamental problem, and that is real estate commissions being fixed higher than they need to be and buyers not really having any ability to negotiate lower fees. Now, of course, I'm a DIY homebuyer guy. I think the best way to just avoid all of that is to learn how to represent yourself. But this is a big story. I'm going to be really curious to see if more states go this route. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments.